The Secret of the Hidden Scrolls, Book 2, Race for the Ark, Chapter 11, The Temple of the Snake. The next morning, Noah called everyone out of bed and took them to the door of the ark. Look, the elephants broke one of the hinges. If we don't fix it, the ark will sink. Someone needs to go to the city and try to find an iron hinge. We'll go, said Mary. Peter's palms started to sweat. Why can't someone else go? He whispered to Mary. We have to do it, Mary whispered back. I'll tell you why on the way. Peter took a deep breath and agreed. You're very brave, said Noah. Take this money to buy the hinge. It's all we have, but I don't think we'll need money after today. Why, said Peter. The flood is coming tomorrow, said Noah. We better hurry. Peter grabbed the leather bag and they left. Why did we have to be the ones to get the hinge? Asked Peter as they went into the woods. We can't risk the dark ruler capturing one of Noah's family, answered Mary. What about us? Asked Peter. The Bible says that Noah and all of his family were in the ark. Not us, said Mary. We have to make sure that that's what happens. Peter's stomach rumbled with nervousness. But what if Jakar and Shadow find us? We have to trust God, said Mary. The bag shook. Wait! Peter unzipped it and pulled out the scroll. The first word glowed and transformed into the word trust. We solved 3 words, he said, holding up the scroll. Trust God, blank, will, blank, blank. Peter rolled up the scroll and put it back in the bag. They walked down into the valley. Peter stopped at the gate. Let's find a hinge and get back to the ark. Where do we find one? Said Mary. Clank, clank. Mary covered her ears. What is that noise? Peter pointed to a large work area surrounded by a black iron fence. It's coming from over there. The sign above the entrance read, Tubal Cain's Blacksmith Shop. Maybe they have hinges, said Mary. When Peter walked in, a man with a bushy gray beard and wide shoulders was holding a long iron rod over the fire. The man pulled it out and pounded it with a huge hammer. What are you making? Asked Peter. The man stopped pounding and looked at Peter. He held the white-hot iron in front of him and walked straight toward Peter. If you're not going to buy anything, then leave. Peter took a deep breath. We do want to buy something, and we have money. The man put down his hammer and rod. Well, why didn't you say so? How can I help you? We need a large hinge, said Peter. For what? Said the man. It's for the door of the ark, said Mary. Is my crazy brother still building that boat? Said the man. Peter's eyebrows went up. Noah is your brother? Yes, said the man. My name is Tubal Cain. I didn't know Noah had another brother, said Mary. We haven't spoken in years, said Tubal Cain, picking up a big piece of metal. This hinge should work. He took out his hammer and chisel and pounded something into the hinge. Here you go. Peter turned it over. The letters TC were engraved on the hinge. Maybe someday crazy Noah will finish that ark, said Tubal Cain. Maybe sooner than you think, said Peter. Mary tugged Peter's arm and gave the blacksmith the coins. Peter put the hinge in the bag. He was glad to get out of there. Then they walked out the door and saw Shadow standing in front of them. He was growling and his fangs were showing. Jakar and Darfus stood right behind him. Peter's eyes bulged. Well, look what we have here, said Jakar. Get them. Run, shouted Peter. But before he could take even one step, Darfus pulled a net from behind his back and threw it over Hank. Not this time, said Jakar. He yanked a rope from his waist and whipped it around Peter and Mary. Let us go, Mary shouted. Peter twisted and turned, but there was no escape. I think it's time for you to meet the Dark Ruler, said Jakar. Tie their hands, Darfus. Darfus tied their hands tightly. Peter's heart pounded as Darfus dragged them up the steps to the Temple of the Snake. Jakar sneered and laughed at them. When they reached the top of the pyramid, Darfus untied them and pulled the net off Hank. We captured them, said Jakar proudly. The Dark Ruler was sitting on a throne surrounded by a large statue of a snake. He wore a black robe with a hood covering most of his face. He held a thorny staff with a snake slithering around it. Good work, said the Dark Ruler. Here is your reward. He tossed a bag at Jakar. Peter heard coins jingling. Are you into snakes? Asked Peter with a nervous grin. The Dark Ruler did not smile. Jakar said you 3 have been causing problems in the city. We were just buying a hinge, said Peter. Why would little children need a hinge? Said the Dark Ruler. We need it to finish the ark, said Mary. The Dark Ruler stood up and walked to the edge of the temple. You mean that old fool is almost finished? Noah is not a fool, said Peter. All the animals are on board. The dark ruler pointed across the woods at the ark on top of the hill. Noah is crazy. No, he's not, said Peter. God told him the flood was coming. The dark ruler pointed his staff in Peter's face. Did you say God? The snake slithered to the top of the staff and stared into Peter's eyes. Peter took a step back. Yes. The dark ruler slammed the rod down. There is no God. He is dead. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning cracked through the sky. Peter gasped. You're lying. God's alive. He's going to rescue the animals and Noah's family. Just then, the leather bag started to shake and glow. What's in there? Said the dark ruler. Peter unzipped the bag and pulled out the scroll. The third and fifth words glowed and transformed into he and rescue. Ah, I thought you looked familiar, said the dark ruler. I don't think we've met, said Peter. The dark ruler walked slowly around Peter. It was a long, long time ago. The snake hissed at Peter. I looked a little different then. A chill ran down Peter's back. You're Satan, the enemy. The dark ruler slowly clapped his hands. Congratulations, you figured it out. But it's too late, he added. My plan is almost complete. Nearly every person has turned against God. I just have one family left. You won't win, said Peter. The dark ruler grabbed the scroll out of Peter's hand. And who's going to stop me? God will stop you, shouted Peter. The dark ruler turned around. Take them to the dungeon.